My name is Alejandra Wahl. I'm the project manager for Shakespeare for Social Justice, and I'm also a teaching artist for the program. And I'm joined here today by Leslie Currier, the managing director of Marin Shakespeare Company, as well as Ben Chau-Chiu, Khari Haynes, Jon Demegillo, and Dean Linnard, who are amazing teaching artists with Marin Shakespeare Company, who are featured teaching artists in our equally amazing creative dramatics program called Play Power. This creative dramatics program is a free course available to educators who teach K through 5. And if anyone is interested in this amazing program, please reach out to our marketing director, Marcia Simmons, marketing@marinshakespeare.org. We're gonna watch a video about the creative dramatics program, and then we'll have an awesome Q&A session with these gifted and talented artists. So let's watch a video.
Hello everyone, my name is Mr. Ben.
My name is Miss Abby.
My name is Mr. Cedric.
My name is Miss Palak.
My name is Mr. Dean.
My name is Miss Alejandra.
My name is Mr. Jordan.
I'm Mr. John.
My name is Mr. Khari, and this is our acting class.
We're going to learn how to be actors together. We're going to try a lot of different things and have a lot of fun together. Ready?
So let's start with warming up our bodies. Can you touch the ceiling? Nice.
Now stretch your body out in all directions.
Let's shake out that one hand. I want you to shake out that one hand.
8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Let's warm up our voices.
Ready for a fun tongue twister challenge? I'll say it once first and then you'll repeat after me. Which wristwatch is the Swiss wristwatch?
Let's pretend to take out a big wad of imaginary bubblegum, yeah? Put it in your mouth, and then chew on it, using all the muscles of your face.
Like that. Some good bubblegum, huh?
Let's say that same phrase, today's a beautiful day, but let's use our imaginations to say it in a whole bunch of different ways.
Let's say it this time as if we're robots. Are you ready? Today is a beautiful day.
We're going to use our imaginations to imagine that the floor that we're walking on keeps changing.
Whoa. And whoa. Oh.
Magic wand, turn into an astronaut exploring a new planet.
1, 2, 3, freeze, puppy.
Let's let the animal take over our entire body. Let's become that character.
Last class, we learned about a folk song from England. Today, we are going to hear a folk song from another country called Vietnam.
Today, we're going to read a poem by Georgiana Valois Sanchez, who is Native American from the Chumash tribe.
Today, I'm going to introduce you to the writer William Shakespeare.
The name of this poem is Hola, buen dia, dia.
The Tiger Who Wore White Gloves by Gwendolyn Brooks.
I have a story about a spider named Anansi.
Dentist and the Crocodile by Roald Dahl.
This next poem from Mexico is written first in Spanish, then we'll hear it in English. So today, we'll get to explore saying this poem in both languages.
I want to introduce you to a poem written by James Weldon Johnson.
So the following poem that we're going to look at today together is called What Travel Does. And it was written by a Palestinian-American poet named Naomi Shihab Nye.
Last class, you learned about a Shawnee American's experience with the meaning of nationhood. Today, we'll look at a different perspective on one's homeland by listening to an excerpt from the poem Mother Country, which was written by a Cuban-American writer, Richard Blanco, about his mother's experience immigrating from Cuba to the United States.
Listen now to Dreaming Up the Future by Chicano poet Francisco X. Alarcón. Let us see ourselves 20 years from now. Who is now the nurse, the doctor who can heal? Who is now the teacher who can teach and learn from students as well? The actor making us laugh. The lawyer who defends the poor, the innocent. The activist who strives for a better world for all. Who is now the mother, the father who help a son or a daughter to stay on in school? The scientist, the artist, the poet who dream up in their own ways solutions to old questions. The best way for making our dreams come true is to dream on and never stop dreaming. Now, did you see a possible future for you in this poem?
We're going to use all of our actor tools and training to tell this story the best way possible, utilizing our bodies, our voice, and our imagination.
I fling my arms wide. Imagine like a bird and you're flapping your arms and it's wide, it's long. In some place of the sun. So imagine yourself flying and it's a beautiful sun and it's a beautiful sunny sky outside and you're free. To whirl and to dance till the white day is done. Imagine just flying and you twirling outside in the air, free. Then rest at a cool evening beneath a tall tree. Ooh, what if you seen a beach and you see beautiful crabs and seashells and you also see a beautiful long tall tree with coconuts in it and you decide to fly down and rest underneath the tree. Cool, right? While night comes on gently, dark like me. So imagine a sunset. The sun is on the horizon and the sun is setting. And you're dancing. And you're dancing. That is my dream. To fling my arms wide. Imagine your arms are touching both the horizon and the mountains. In face of the sun comes up again. A new day. Dance. Whirl. Whirl. Imagine you're doing your best dance move. Give me your best dance move. I can give you mine. Hey. Till the quick day is done. Rest at pale evening. A tall, slim tree. You go back to the tree out the beach and you see that tall, slim tree with the coconuts. Night coming tenderly. The sun is setting. The sun is setting. Black like me. The day is done.
She said the head was too large and the hooves too small. Now, what does that look like? That the head, so something that you've drawn. How long have you taken to draw this donkey? How much effort did you put in making it perfect? And then someone said the head was too large. And then the hooves were too small. How would that make you feel? How would you respond vocally? Good. Now the next part, I could clean my paintbrush, but I couldn't get rid of that voice. Now, cleaning your paintbrush. How do you clean your paintbrush? Have you ever cleaned a paintbrush? Would you scrub it with another brush? Would you just run it underwater? And now, I couldn't get rid of that voice. What does it look like on your face when you keep hearing someone tell you that your work is wrong? How does that make you feel? Make you feel sad? Are you in anguish? Are you so hurt by it that you want to cry? And what does it sound like to keep having that voice play over in your head? How does it make you feel? Are you scrunched up? Are you kind of holding yourself? What do you want to say to them? Nice. And while they watched, I crumpled him, let his blue body stain my hand. What does that look like for you? How do you crumple your piece of paper? How do you crumple your painting, your drawing? And then what does it look like to realize the ink, the paint is still all over your hands? How do you try to get it off? Do you just let it be there? Do you try to get it off on your shirt or your apron? Next part. I cried when he hit the can. She smiled. I could try again. What does it look like when you're throwing away your work of art, something you've made, and you throw it away, and you're crying, and you're sad? How does that look on your face? How does it look in your body? Is it a very harsh throw? Or is it just like a little light throw? And then you're crying. Like, how does that sound? How are you vocally? You're like, are you throwing it away? Like, and then to hear this person who told you your work was wrong tell you that you could try again. Are you insulted to say that your original work wasn't good enough? Or that you could work to make your next one better? How do you react to that? Are you glad for another chance? Or are you sad that you had to throw away your original work completely? How does that look on you? Very nice, very nice. That all looks great. Now, the final part of the poem. Maybe this is what I unfold in the dark, deciding for the rest of my life that donkey was just the right size. Now, what does it look like to unfold something in the dark? Something you're keeping hidden from others and not letting into the light. Are you unfolding it secretly? Are you trying to hide it from people? Or are you unfolding it to yourself? Can you see how you're unfolding it? And now you're deciding for the rest of your life that this donkey was just the right size. When you unfold it, what do you see? Do you see something you're proud of? Do you see something that you're happy that you created? And what do you say to yourself? Do you pat yourself on the back? Do you say, good job, me?
So let's try it from the very beginning, and we're all going to do our best impression of a boa constrictor. Here we go. I'm being eaten by a boa constrictor. I'm being eaten by a boa constrictor. I'm being eaten by a boa constrictor, and I don't like it very much. Oh no, he's got my toe. And if you're a boa constrictor right now, grab somebody's toe. Nice. Let's keep going. I'm being eaten by a boa constrictor. I'm being eaten by a boa constrictor. I'm being eaten by a boa constrictor, and I don't like it very much. Oh, gee, he's got my knee. And if you're the boa constrictor, get somebody's knee. Oh, good job. Keep slithering. I'm sure there's some good slithering out there. I'm being eaten by a boa constrictor. I'm being eaten by a boa constrictor. I'm being eaten by a boa constrictor, and I don't like it very much. Oh my, he's got my thigh. And if you're a boa constrictor, I want you to wrap yourself around a thigh. Nice, great slithering, great boa constrictoring. Let's keep going. I'm being eaten by a boa constrictor. I'm being eaten by a boa constrictor. I'm being eaten by a boa constrictor, and I don't like it very much. Oh, fiddle, he's got my middle. And now if you're a boa constrictor, you're going to get somebody's middle. How would you do that? Would it tickle? Grab somebody's middle. Nice. Let's keep going. I'm being eaten by a boa constrictor. I'm being eaten by a boa constrictor. I'm being eaten by a boa constrictor. And I don't like it very much. Oh, heck, he's got my neck. And now you're the boa constrictor and you're going to grab the neck. Nice. Last one, here we go. I'm being eaten by a boa constrictor. I'm being eaten by a boa constrictor. I'm being eaten by a boa constrictor. And I don't like it very much. Oh, dread, he's got my head. And if you're the boa constrictor, make one big gulp and swallow down that head. Gulp. Oof. Whoa!
I'll never climb Mount Everest to see what I can see. Let's all climb Mount Everest together. Ooh, climb the mountain. Is it steep?
Can I see you guys rushing down to the village and yelling, wolf, wolf?
All the world's a stage, and all the men and women merely players. They have their exits and their entrances, and one man in his time plays many parts.
Watch out! The dentist shrieked and started climbing up the wall. He's after me, he's after you, he's going to eat us all!
Now say this as if you're really proud. You're really proud of this life being your life. Are you ready? Here we go. Este vida es mi vida.
Chumash, he says. And when he says it, I think of ancient sea lion hunts and salt spray windswept across my face. Now, can you show me how an ancient sea lion hunts with your body?
Monster, monster, turn around.
What an adventure that poem is to read!
The lion and the mouse are the two main characters. The story has a beginning, a middle, and an end.
Every time you hear a word that is new to you, wiggle your fingers.
So we just clapped 5 times, then 7 times, then 5 times. Now that rhythm pattern is called a haiku.
Do you remember what makes a story a fable? It has a message or a moral to teach.
We learned how when rhythm is expected, because of how it keeps repeating, it can make the surprise of ideas seem even more unexpected.
At the beginning of the poem, there was the word caribou. Anybody know what a caribou is?
There are many different native tribes, cultures, languages, and customs. Here, in what is now Marin County, the Coast Miwok lived in harmony with nature.
I think Langston Hughes wrote this poem about wanting to feel the freedom of dancing because he and people like him have not always been free.
But the best way to understand what someone else is thinking and feeling is to imagine yourself in their situation.
Being brought to America in a slave ship would be a very different experience than coming to America and being greeted by the Statue of Liberty and the promise of freedom.
Chumash stories are not about some faraway land. They're about Santa Barbara and Mount Pinus and Santa Cruz Island. They are very site-specific, down to the particular boulders on the beach that grounds you in who you are. Each branch of the tribe has site-specific stories, but all our stories are distinctive because they reflect our relationship with the land. The sense of the Chumash language is immediacy. When the story is told, it is happening right then. It is not enough to say the ocean is beautiful. The language does not use adjectives the way that English does. It is very verb-centered language, so the ocean is being beautiful. The sense of the language gives it an immediacy that conjures up the sparkle of the sun on the water.
There's so many possibilities in life that we can become. There's no one route for anyone. And you might want to try different routes as you go out through your life. And so never stop dreaming. That is this poem's main message. The best way for making dreams come true is to never stop dreaming.
Thank you for going on that journey with me, right? Using our imaginations to imagine what would it be like to encounter all these different things, all these sights, all these tastes, all these smells, all these experiences, all these different cultures all around the globe.
Now, I hope as we continue to explore the different writers and their work, that you become more comfortable with unfolding what you have to share in the light rather than in the dark, as the poem states the student does. Remember, whatever you have to offer is just the right size.
There are so many different stories out there and so many voices to tell those stories. I hope you'll continue to use your voice to tell yours.
Your voice deserves to be heard. You deserve to be seen.
You are a unique person, different from everyone else.
Your imagination is full of wonderful things that deserve to be shared with the world.
It's so lovely to see like your styles of teaching and how you interact with the students, and I'm just like, oh, I wish I was that good.
No, I can echo Ben. It's so fun to see other people teaching, because so often teachers, we never get to see one another's work. And so it's a tremendous joy to see the way different people interact and bring their own selves to the teaching, that no matter what the curriculum might be, that the lesson is always exactly the same size as the teacher. So it's fun to see all different an array of interpretations of material. It really is an education for an educator.
I didn't know that was going to come out that way. To be honest with you, it was actually very interesting and captivating. I am a art critic on myself. It's tough seeing myself, but it was a great experience because I was laughing. It had me giggling because I had taught the kindergarten segment, and that was a new experience for me as far as teaching a grade that is literally all imagination, all action, and being able to convey information in a more physical form than actually, speaking it verbally for them to get it. I think it was the most challenging because I'm not used to using my body as much. But it was great seeing everybody else. It was very entertaining.
I think for me, just watching it back, it would, especially teaching about such complex matters, especially for fourth grade, but it was cool to see everybody using their respective spaces and actually using their body. Y'all look like you're all having fun, but you can't help but smile, when you lead a group of kids to use their imagination, because for them to believe it and to buy it, you have to also believe it and buy it too. So it's definitely the ultimate exercise in acting, of having a script, and then you as the actor have to be so clear and so attentive of what you're doing and what you're trying to get across to an audience it is so critical. Kids, I think, are the most critical audience. They will either tune out or they will, be laser focused on what you're doing. So yeah,
it's so true. I mean, I think the challenge of being in a video format too is that you're, as the teaching artist, you're performing to the camera, to the laptop, as the case may be. But what I thought was really, really cool about this little compilation was like you could really see like the energetic baton being passed from like grade level to grade level. And I felt like we all just kept like amplifying and feeding off each other's energy without even knowing it. That was really, really remarkable to see. You mentioned Khari, I believe, just like how much you'd enjoyed making it. I wonder if we could talk a little bit about like what each of our personal experiences were in creating these videos, collaborating for in Shakespeare, and what like our most favorite part of it was, because it's a kind of an unusual format for teaching. But I'm curious to hear what positive experiences came out of this for you.
I think the most challenging was imagining being in the environment as if kids were there, and that was the most tough experience I ever had, because it was like, okay, how can I get these kids to really, or these students to really understand what I'm teaching them, because the topics are very complex and very critical, and having a kindergarten class to really comprehend these topics on a level of creation and imagination, that right there was the most challenging, to being in that environment. But the best part about it was definitely the poetry. The poetry was the best part for me, because it was easier to imagine. It was easier to add movement, and I guess just be more innovative when it comes to poetry. So that was the best part.
I totally agree that having like poetry to work with was a totally different challenge. Being extra visual and extra physical was really, really fun. And also the opportunity to kind of engage with like props, like, you know, if I'm going to be doing this with a video, I'm gonna make it engaging for myself too. And there's nothing more fun than puppets for me. So finding a way to integrate those, just as little visual aids to kind of catch the interest of the student that I imagined on the other side of the camera. And I kind of pictured myself at a younger age too. I thought, what would I most like? And toys were definitely involved.
I love that. And I love the idea of taking advantage of the format rather than apologizing for the format or running away from it. That sometimes in person in the classroom, there can be a certain amount of joyful chaos, and things can get kind of all over the place and a little messy. And sometimes you go in with the best intentions and you have to sort of, join the circus and let it all unfold. But here, I think there was a wonderful opportunity to really be specific and get those points across, especially at the end of that video when you saw all of us, imparting those important lessons about giving the students permission to be themselves, giving them encouragement that they have the skills already within them, that all we're doing is allowing them to be their fullest selves. That I felt I could communicate that message clearly and directly in a way that sometime in person, there's so much going on and there's people running around, and sometimes perhaps that message can get a little diffused. But here, there was a wonderful directness and clarity, which I think was unique.
Yeah, with the because we're acting like to a camera and like for a camera, it was really fascinating to kind of both be limited but kind of come up with new creative outlets to figure out these problems, right? Because we have this little box here, but we also, like, since we're not in person, we can still go up like really close to the screen and get that intention and right at them. So that was really fun to kind of adapt and shift to. While at times filming can be frustrating and everything, but like being able to still try and gauge the room that they're in while you're going through the lesson was something really kind of exciting and like fun to play around with.
I think what also worked with that compilation is the addition of the visual representations of what we're talking about. Just for me, it breaks the monotony of just our shop of teaching, because I think, kids might veer off sometimes, their attention might go. So it also, I think, is a wonderful tool that helps them picture what we're talking about even further, not just our words, but actually seeing a suggestive image of what we're trying to say. So, yeah.
I completely agree. And this actually kind of leads me to my next question or next thought, which is, what are we as teaching artists really hoping that kids are getting out of this? And, for me, especially watching this compilation, I keep thinking about how today's kids, today's youth are really, they're really connected with screens. They have a relationship with screens that it's very easy and very accessible for them. And I feel like having the opportunity to engage with your screen in a much more active way than ever before is such a gift. I mean, as opposed to, sitting hunched over watching YouTube videos, you get to kind of, you still get to engage with the screen and watch something really entertaining. But if you feel like getting up and stretching with the instructor, it's there. The invitation to play is there. That's really cool. I'm curious about your thoughts about what you think students of all ages are going to get out of these videos.
I think for me, it's a good way to challenge someone to use their imagination instead of relying on somebody else telling a story on a screen, you know, and to actually invite them to use their own imagination, and that their own ideas and their own stories are valid. Which is, we can all just look at this, you know, and then just see other people's stories and ideas, and we kind of turn off our imaginative brains. But with this, especially in school too, it's what a dope concept to learn in school, to just have fun for 30 minutes and to use my imagination with friends.
Yeah, kind of on that, like using your imagination, just like allowing, I like allowing yourself to just have fun and be weird and kind of like exuberant. Because I know when I was a kid, I was always like really nervous about like being the one who stood out, or like being like, I don't know, picked on for being weird. But like it's okay to be like playful and weird and do all of these crazy things and really just kind of be yourself. And that's something I like. Hopefully, I know there's some points I remember in like watching over my films, I was just like, oh, there's that a little bit there. But like for the most part, it's allowing yourself to just work, throw yourself at it, and like just go crazy. Like ensue that, or like start that chaos that Dean was talking about earlier.
So very true. I was thinking too, that there's a kind of what Jon was saying. There's like this certain safety inherent. Like if you're a teacher and you're showing this to your class and you're on Zoom and you're remote, there's a certain safety in this format where a kid can explore and play, and there might not be anyone around to see if you fail, or if you feel like you failed or made a mistake. There's no one around to judge you. It's just you, yourself, and the teacher on the screen in front of you. So I feel like it gives kind of like a wider range of experience, but also a really cool safety net. And then at the same time, if you're doing this, you know, in an in-person class, there's nothing more fun than doing like a shared group activity. And if you look over and see, oh, someone's being an elephant in the same way that I am, that's validation. Or, oh, their elephant's really cool, let me try that. There's actually a lot of freedom of expressivity that this format totally allows, which is really neat. One thing I was also really struck by is just the diversity of the materials that were offered. I know the curriculum spans like a wide global majority perspective of poems and short readings. I just wanted to reflect, you know, I feel we're a really diverse group of teaching artists here. If you have reflections on what it felt like to be a teaching artist teaching a diverse curriculum, and also what you think students will get out of getting such a wide range of experience when it comes to the literary material. Go for it, Khari.
I definitely believe that anybody can game. I definitely believe that it's up for game for it's a world's, I guess, I believe it's a world's art, you know, and being able to get them at while they're young, to understand that it's not just made for a specific type of people, specific type of culture. There's different uh, creativity that circulates throughout the world that each and every person can contribute to the art itself. And I just think that was the main. That's something that I was really support of. I am in support of, because a child being able to see hear subjects that may not pertain to them culturally, but fascinates them when they get older, to wonder, okay, what is about why did they teach me? Why did they teach me this? Maybe it's important for me to know this type of other culture, because maybe that'll make me a whole person, make me feel humane. And I just think that was the greatest and the best route to go.
I think it also develops an emphatic way of learning, to learn about other people's cultures and to start, you know, them young. And watching the video again, I totally forgot that I even discussed the concept of I'm sorry, the Miwok tribe here in Marin. And and introducing that idea to them and the concept of land acknowledgement further on. I think that's a topic that could be, started to be brought up in schools, just as an acknowledgement of people who came before them in this specific area in California.
And for anyone who's watching, I do believe that, yes, there was indeed Shakespeare involved in this curriculum. Dean, we're in Shakespeare Company. It's got to get in there somewhere. Dean, if you want to talk about your experience, folding in Shakespeare into this curriculum and how you think it feeds into and also fits in with the really diverse global majority offerings that we have.
For sure. I think it was beautifully contextualized, because what we were able to do was we were able to show the students that there is a huge range of classics, right? That stories are can be from any culture, and that all of those stories are worth study and worth exploration. And we as teachers, as authority figures, could present a whole bunch of them, Shakespeare being one of many. So I love the fact that it wasn't necessarily like, here is the one person worthy of our academic interest, but rather here is another storyteller. And if you see yourself represented in that story, fantastic. If you don't, we have lots more stories, and hopefully a bunch of different teaching artists who can give you different ideas and different experiences. So I love that it was contextualized in a way that I think is very healthy. And my goal whenever I introduce Shakespeare or continue teaching Shakespeare to young people is to just demystify it as much as possible. And again, give them permission to claim it as their own, that this is not something that belongs to me, the teacher, or, people back in historical times, that this is stuff that is alive and breathing right now, that we can wrestle with and we can physicalize and vocalize and really dive into in a very visceral, full-bodied way. So I try to make it as not stuffy as possible, like you would with any story, right? You're trying to bring something to life, and I think Shakespeare is no exception.
That is super, super powerful and incredible. And you actually brought me into my next question totally perfectly, which is, what do you think is the most important aspect for students and for just learners of all ages, really, but specifically for the students K through 5? Why is it so important for them to have access to creative dramatics through our Play Power program, through just that kind of learning in school in general? But why is it so important for them to have access to this kind of expressivity and learning? I see Khari's hand.
That's the reason, so they can raise their hand. As far as having access, I know for me personally, when I did Shakespeare when I was 4 years old, at Marine Shakespeare Company, it was an outlet. It was a different environment that allowed me to express anger, frustration, emotions that I couldn't really control, and still push on to this day. I think it's a great outlet for students who now are so engaged in technology, so engaged in iPhone and phones and stuff, and how that actually, I want to say it's a good and bad thing, because their attention shortens, and I think being able to separate technology to the creativity aspect of it allows them to be more free in as far as exploration, and being able to find other outlets that'll keep them, engaged in everyday life. I just think finding creativity in the arts and in theater, this aspect allows a person to connect on a totally different level.
I would like to completely second that creativity outlet. Like, it is just such an important factor for really anyone to have, but especially as kids, because they're just bursting with creativity and imagination and all of these feelings and emotions, and it's like having that outlet just is beneficial, I believe, to everyone. Because I remember being a kid, I didn't really have that, and I really wish I did, because there's some things that growing up, it was like, oh man. But that's why that's kind of one of the reasons why I like teaching. It's we're able to get these kids, show students and children, even teenagers and adults, like this is something that's still accessible to you, and you can still mess around and play and be crazy and just find an outlet that allows you to express creatively. And so that's just something that's super important to me as a teacher and just as a human being as well.
I think, we all come to this work from different but similar perspectives, but everyone looks at it through a really different lens. I mean, if you'd like, share your own personal experience, like what brought you to theater and teaching?
Yeah, I think it's, again, to echo what people have said before, it's to allow, it's as if you're teaching to the younger version of yourself, right? That it's what I wish I had been told or allowed or validated for back then, which is that you can be, again, when I'm teaching, I try to articulate that I'm not trying to turn the students into anything that they're not, that all I'm trying to do is allow them to express what's already there, and show by example that you can be, a big, tall, goofy guy, and within this context that is both okay, and that is a skill set, right? That has value. So hopefully for the kids who maybe feel like they might be misfits, or that they may, have a loud voice or have strong opinions or be super imaginative or be anything other than the norm, whatever that means, that here we can say that is not only okay, that is important, and that is not just adequate, but that is actually something to be encouraged and celebrated. And within this context, we can find the joy in that, no matter who the students are, that they are the best version of themselves within this playful environment.
Definitely agree with that. And just to bring on the fact that it's just another way of teaching something through history, through literature, but it's through the body, the mind, and the soul, and also just using their critical thinking skills, which I think need to be imparted in a myriad of ways, through math, through science, but also through the arts of trying to make them think for themselves creatively, and also just using their imagination. That's, I think, a key part of why I want to teach too, and to act, is just your imagination can get you so far in life, and to create something, through that.
For me too, there's the I don't want to say it's the social justice aspect of it, but there is the social justice aspect where it's really crucial for kids to get to see themselves represented in performance spaces and creative spaces, and to see other people, other bodies, other voices, other experiences represented as well, so that they can see that differences are to be celebrated, and differences are something to be to be curious about, and to engage with, and to really just like feel connected and open and aware. And one thing I want to spotlight too is that I feel like this video series is super accessible. We've got, the visual component, but there's also subtitle captions. There's Spanish translation. So, we're really kind of in this format beginning to bridge the gap in terms of accessibility. There's still work to do always, but I do feel like there's some real good engagement there. And oh yeah, Jon, please.
I just want to echo that what you said about diversity in terms of teaching, and how, because I can honestly count it probably in my fingers how many people of color who have taught me in all subjects in school here in Marin. And so for me to be, as a kid, imagine myself watching these and watching a myriad of people of color, they just in my screen and teaching me, I think means a lot. I think it would mean a lot, even though they might not, you might not notice that, but at least for me, I would have wanted, other people of other cultures and other races, other experiences to teach me something, just as universal as math or science. But that's such a great, cool opportunity and a privilege, to be honest. Yeah.
There were a few topics that we discussed, in that compilation, and those specific topics, by my understanding, is better represented by those who are from the culture in a sense. But at the same time, um, it's always pleasurable and always good to see someone else acknowledge that's from a different. And I just think that right there shows how far we've come uh, through history and time. How someone else can also be able to acknowledge the students and let them know that we see you, we're here for you, and it doesn't matter what you look like. It doesn't matter where you come from. You're able, you're a voice, you are able to be anything you want to be. And all we want to do is just help cultivate and, make that bigger. And I think that is like the main goal when it comes to being able to have representation um, and have students be able to look at somebody that looks like them. Read Shakespeare, having a black guy like me read Shakespeare to another black student who thought that, Shakespeare is just for a specific type of people, but it's not. It's for everybody. I just think you just have to, uh, be interested and be properly introduced to. Yeah.
That's 100%. Yes, just snaps to that. I want to say too, I think that's part of what's really cool about the way that these videos were made is that there was an opportunity in a lot of them for each of us to kind of hand off to each other. So we made cameo appearances in all of each other videos. So not only are students getting exposed to, in one grade level to, one experience, one representation, but there's an opportunity for multiple as well, representing so many other narratives and stories. So it really is like this wonderful, like assorted fruit salad, if you will, of delicious theatrical bits. Well, in closing, I just want to say, I feel like COVID has totally shifted and changed the landscape of art making in general, and obviously teaching. I just wanted to ask, how has COVID helped you gain a better, deeper appreciation for the arts, or how has it changed your relationship with the arts?
I think as artists, if there's one thing that I know for sure is that we'll never go away, and we find ways in practicing our art and endowing it to others. And so it was just another way of people being innovators, especially in theater and yeah, in theater in general. People are still making work and making it all work, and yeah, it's still a matter of how can I practice my art, make it better? How can I collaborate with other people and impart my wisdom? And
I think for me, it's a love and hate reality. It's like a bittersweet reality. COVID definitely hit me to the point where it got me thinking about different avenues, different career paths, different it won't leave you. You know what I mean? Art is something that will never leave. And for me, it's something that it's hard to see myself doing something different. You know what I mean? And having to adapt to the environment, adapt to technology, adapt to things that are so, um, you know, technical in the sense of I'm so used to being in person on stage, being able to collaborate with people and possibly work backstage, be crew members, be, do something hands on. And the fact that was taken away from me, it was hard to adapt to, okay, how can I contribute? What other ways can I contribute to as an artist to theater or to film, to things like that. So it actually drove me to get into scenic design, got me into painting, got me into doing more creative things that that can be substituted as far as acting is concerned. I guess COVID just jacked me up. to be honest. It jacked me up. But uh, it, it basically instilled in that ability to adapt.
Yeah, kind of like what Khari said, COVID was not very kind. Yeah, I think, for I feel like I haven't been in theater very long. It's been like 7 years because I like just started in college. I didn't, or like when I got into college, I didn't do much before. And like from college to right up until March 2020, it had never been a question of what is my career going to be. It's going to be in the arts. That's just a fact. And when everything shut down, it just kind of like was like a bomb dropping, and I was just like, oh, I have to do something else? Like, can I still do this? And it was rough, definitely. I think as we kind of the next few months, everyone was like, oh my gosh, what are we gonna do? And then I think a lot of theaters and like practitioners and thespians, like we got into like our groove of like, okay, we can still create, we can still perform, we can still do all these things to help us, I don't know, thrive in the way that we wanted to. Um, Something that's with negatives of COVID, but like with positives of COVID, something that really got to me was I got more back into my musical background that I haven't really touched in a few years. So that was really nice to just kind of like get back into and like actively using it more with friends and family and stuff. Yeah.
Well, I want to thank you all for being here tonight. Alejandra, thank you for your beautiful facilitation of this conversation. Thank you all, teaching artists, for your incredible work. I want to reiterate to anybody listening that these instructional videos are free. We'd love to share them with any schools, teachers, or families that would like to use them. And we look forward to being back in person together very soon.